Now, this is Zero Context.
All right, cool. So I'm here with Sean. Sean was on episode, I don't even know what episode it was. It was episode, I think it was 3.
Yeah, 3. I was going to say 2 or 3.
Yeah. And it was a Zoom episode that we did, but this was back when Sean was over in Japan. But he's joined us back in Australia now, which is great.
Let's go.
So I haven't really, we haven't spoken too much about like what it was like over there, which is good.
Yeah.
So like, just give me a breakdown. Like, how is it adjusting back to the Australian lifestyle?
It is kind of like a culture shock, like all over again. Like I lived in Japan for 4 years. It was actually like 4 years on the dot.
Is it? Was it actually?
Yeah, so I flew over there on April 19th of 2019, and then I came back. Well, I flew out of Japan on April 20th of 2023.
Wow.
So it was like basically exactly 4 years. But yeah, like being over there for 4 years, I did come back to like Australia, in winter of last year.
Yeah, it was
Like August, right?
September, August. Yeah. Because I was filming that awards night down at the coast, and I had to come back up, and I remember that well.
Yeah, and so that was also like right now it's not so much of a culture shock, but when I visited back after being away for almost 4 years, that was like a pretty big culture shock for me.
Yeah, right.
It was like, I don't know, it's like living in a country that's like completely different from Australia. Like Japan's just like a complete 180 to like all Western culture. And it's like you come back and everything's completely different again. And even though I grew up here, like I spent 21 years of my life living in Australia before I moved to Japan, it was still, I came back and I was like, wait, yeah, I forgot.
So you hadn't actually lived in Japan until you went over in 2019?
I'd visited Japan. Oh, wait, I lived in Japan for like 3 months. That was like the longest time I've lived in Japan. And that was for a exchange program.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was, I don't know if it's like a touchy subject, but what was the reason to move over to Japan again?
Just like for
Something
the hell of
different?
it. Yeah, because
Okay.
basically I moved over to Japan because one, I have a Japanese passport.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to worry about all the visas and all that kind of stuff, which was really, really nice. And then two, the original reason was because I quit my job in Sydney. And as I was looking for another job, my parents were like, well, you got the second passport. You have Japanese citizenship. Why don't you just go over to Japan?
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds like a good idea. And then, because I wanted the experience, and they said, you have like this, you're really lucky to have like this opportunity. You shouldn't waste it. Like, you don't want to be, 40, 50 years old and be like, oh, what if I did go over to Japan? What if, would my life be different? Like, oh, that would have been a really good experience. And I was like, yeah, screw it. Like, I'll go to Japan then. Like, I didn't really have anything set up or anything like that. It wasn't a long-term thing. It was like literally, I think in January or something, my parents pitched it to me.
Okay.
And then in April, I was like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember when we were, I think it was like the last week you were here in Australia. I remember it was just, we were just doing a bunch of stuff in the city, I remember. And I remember we were walking to like Ted's Cameras or something in the city. We're looking in a camera shop. And I remember you saying, it's only going to be 2 years. It's just going to be 2 years.
Yep.
And then obviously, not even less than a year later, it was, that whole COVID thing happened.
Yeah.
Was there a part of you that was kind of like, oh, damn it, like I need to stay here for another well, you didn't know it was going to be another 2 years, but like, were you upset that you couldn't come back here sooner or?
Yes and no.
Yep.
Like you said, originally was only going to be my original plan was going to be 1 year. So I wanted to stay there for at least 1 year, but then maybe 2 years, depending on if I liked it or not.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. And so when COVID happened, I was going into my second year, and I really, really enjoyed my first year. So I was going to stay for my second year no matter what. And also I met my partner over there. And we moved in together, like leading into that second year. So I was going to be there for like another year. And then once, I moved in with my partner and all that, I was like, okay, I'm going to be here for maybe another year or maybe like another year and a half, maybe 2 years max. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, hopefully. But everyone at the start of COVID was like, oh, it's only a short thing. It's only going to be like, a few months. And then a few months went past, and then it was like, oh, it's only gonna be like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then 6 months went past, and fucking
I wasn't even that. I said like this thing's gonna blow over in 2 weeks. I remember saying that, and I was like, oh
no.
shit, that was not.
Yeah, I remember when the what was it? The World Health Organization declared it a pandemic, and I was like, nah, can't be that bad, right?
Yeah.
And then we went into our first lockdown. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So what were the lockdowns like over there? Because they were kind of like they'd pop up here. Because when it first hit in March, I think it was 6 weeks, 6 or 8 weeks, and they said that like we're gonna be just shutting down everything. That's when like gyms would close and a lot of restaurants like kind of like just went into takeout only.
Yep.
And then we'd have the occasional like the major lockdowns that would last anywhere from like 3 days to a week. But that was like sporadic whenever we had like a couple of cases pop up. Like, what was the lockdowns like over there?
So I think we touched about on this a little bit in the last podcast, but
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah.
basically Japan doesn't have like is constitution how to say. See, like this is the problem. Like after speaking Japanese for so long, like when I talk when I speak in more specific subjects or like harder subjects in English, I forget a lot of like the more difficult words.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like,
That's okay.
constitutionally, Japan can't actually have a lockdown, so to say. They can't say you have to stay inside your house because Japan has a lot of natural disasters. They have a lot of earthquakes. They have a lot of tsunamis or hurricanes, cyclones, that kind of stuff. And so if there's a natural disaster and people have to evacuate, but there's a lockdown order in, it becomes very, what do people do? So because of that, there's no actual, they're not allowed to actually say, there's a lockdown, you have to stay inside your house, you cannot leave your house, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
And all that. So there wasn't like really any, there was like state of emergencies, which they had a few things in place. So things like, what was it? Like restaurants had to shut by a certain time, or restaurants couldn't serve alcohol. You had, of course, had to wear masks and all that kind of stuff. But for like, the first like few state of emergencies, like people took it really seriously. Like I remember the first state of emergency, someone wanted me to go out and film like in Tokyo. And of course, because it's not a lockdown, like I'm legally allowed to go out, but like, the Japanese people are pretty, like, I wouldn't say obedient, but they're pretty, like, I'd say, they're not like Western cultures where, like, the government will say something and then like, a good 50% of them will go, nah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, if the government says something happens, like, they'll be like, most Japanese people,
Most people would agree with it.
yeah, we'll agree, or we'll just do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of their culture, like, there's a lot of social pressure and stuff like that. So I remember going out there, and you like think of Tokyo, you think of Shinjuku, you think of Shibuya, like the Shibuya Scramble, like the world's busiest crossing. Like more people cross that crossing in one day than it's incredible how many people cross that one crossing in one day, and you go there and it's completely dead.
Yeah, right.
Like there's like I saw like 3 other people like that, and it was like such an eerie feeling because Tokyo is technically the biggest city in the world, population-wise. Population density, it has 1.3, no, more than that. It has something like 13 million people
Really?
in Tokyo. Yeah, or
Wow.
something like that. Or some.
How does that compare to a city like New York or
It's
something?
more that.
I feel like that'd be more. I feel like it'd be more than that.
It's more. I think
It'll be 13 billion, brother.
no, it's something like I think it's got like 3 and a 1 in there. It might be 31 million, or there's something. It's something.
I feel like 31 million sounds
Yeah.
a little bit more accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's more people in Tokyo than there is in Australia, and
Yeah.
it's the most densely population-wise. It's the biggest city in
Yeah.
the world. So you can imagine how busy it gets. It's bigger than New York and all that kind of stuff, like population-wise. And you see the hustle bustle of New York. So you think of like Japan and like rush hour times, like just seas of like what we call salaryman, just work. It's just all the time. And then you go there and it's just completely dead. You go to Shinjuku, the busiest station in the world,
Yeah.
and it's dead. Like no one's there.
See, that's eerie.
It was such a weird feeling just seeing, like it's so weird, like all the, like the advertisement boards and all that. Like if you search up Shibuya and you see like all like the big like buildings with all like the advertising boards.
They're all turned off?
No, they're still all going.
Really? That's bizarre.
So if you've ever watched, what is that? There's a Netflix show. It's called like Alice in
Borderland.
Borderland.
Yeah.
It was exactly
where they go. I don't know if people have seen the show where they go into like the bathroom or wherever, and they come out. That's where you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
That place
Okay.
there, and like all the advertising boards are still up, and there's just no one there. Exactly like that.
When did they film Alice in Borderland? Because I feel like that would have been the prime time to film Alice in Borderland while that place was empty.
So actually, Alice in Borderland. So it's in a place called Shibuya.
Yeah.
And actually, they never actually shot a single shot. Oh, well, I don't know if they shot a little bit in Shibuya, but they filmed most of it was in Shibuya. There's actually a exact replica set of Shibuya and the Shibuya Scramble in another prefecture, like somewhere else. They've like full on built one because it's such a popular destination to shoot.
So you can't just shut it down.
You
for
can't
something
just
like that.
shut it down. It's like I said, it's the biggest crossing. It's the busiest crossing in the world. Like you can't just shut it down. So things like Tokyo Drift, when they did that big drift through Shibuya Scramble, that was shot at the at the fake,
replica,
the replica set.
Wow.
Yeah, most of Alice in Borderland. If you see Shibuya Scramble in a movie, most likely it's shot at that replica set.
I did not know that. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that until I saw like a documentary and I was like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know that.
I saw a video the other day, and I don't know what movie it was. I really should know when I talk about these things. But there was a movie with Tom Hanks. Oh, not Tom Hanks. Tom Cruise, and they shut down Times Square in New York. Wow. And I think it was like 3 hours. It was like 1 to 3 hours. They shut it down, and it cost them like I don't know how many millions of dollars. Because obviously there's probably not a replica. There's more than likely not a replica of Times Square. Like there could be. I didn't know there was a replica of that place. But like it's just fascinating when they do things like that. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Like you see like a lot of stuff on like movies, and you have to like remember that CG is so good these days.
Dude.
It's
unless
so
they're in Marvel movies. Oh wait, yeah. So were you still able to watch the Marvel films over there? Like they were still getting over to Japan?
Yeah, that was still coming. It's real weird. Like sometimes like movies in Japan, like it's either like they'll get released same time, sometimes they'll get like released super late, or sometimes they'll even get released like early.
Yeah, right.
Like some I remember there was like a Marvel film. I think it was a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, No Way Home, the new one?
No Way Home, the new one. And I remember it came out like a month after everyone else.
So, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. So I'm like trying to I've blocked all like, Spider-Man, No Way Home, all those keywords from all my social medias. Like people would start talking about it. I'm like, no. Stop. I don't want any spoilers, stuff like that. And then Doctor Strange comes out like 3 days before. It comes out in Japan 3 days before like the rest of the world, even like America.
That's funny.
And I was like, wait, what the hell? It's so weird, yeah.
Were you spoiled? Did anyone spoil No Way Home for you?
I think it was only like the things I'd already seen in like kind of like rumor.
Yeah.
Stuff. So things about like, all three Spider-Mans coming together. Like I think that was pretty heavily rumored and almost pretty much confirmed at that point. And then someone was like, oh, you want all the three Spider-Mans? I'm like, okay. I knew that was going to come basically, but like, it was like 95%. So when I heard that, I was like, it's not that big of a deal. But other than that, no, I wasn't really spoiled. It was
okay.
Good, yeah.
That's good. There's a guy on YouTube. His name's John Campier, I think. And he's like a movie guru, and he's got a lot of dudes on the inside who give him a lot of information and stuff. He tweeted, I think it was 2 pictures, and one of them was the 3 of them together, and then another photo was just Toby and Andrew. And it was obviously real. And he tweeted it saying, I didn't know it was real. I thought it was fake. I'm like, well, why the fuck would you post it if you thought it was fake? Yeah. So I think it was just doing it for credit. So I was like semi-spoiled, but like, I was like, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not true. I'm hoping it's true, but like, but yeah.
Actually, there was a leak that no one actually picked up on, like way before like anyone even knew about the three Spider-Mans. So basically there was someone on the crew. They weren't like I don't think they were high level like a DOP or anything. I think they were just like a part of the crew. And on the set, they had the title like Spider-Man No Way Home, and then they had all the people that worked on the film signed it.
Oh no!
So like all like the main characters, or like the main crew and all that kind of stuff signed it. And this guy took a photo of it and posted it on his social media without even just like thinking about it. And then like 2 days later, Marvel was like, take it the fuck down, take it down, take it down. And he was like, what? And he's like, oh crap. And he realized, like, when you zoomed in, you could see, all, Andrew Garfield,
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire,
no.
what's the other guy? Tom Holland's, all
Yeah.
their signatures were bang, 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 all like basically next to each other.
That's
and
so
he's like,
bad.
wow. And like, but like, no one actually picked up on it. Like, it never ever came to light. Like, no.
Oh, so no one actually figured it out.
Yeah, no one,
Okay,
no
that's
one
good.
was like, yeah, because it was just like it was like just like a regular crew member. It wasn't like someone massive. It wasn't like the director or anything like that. It was just like, just another member of staff, another member of crew that posted on their Instagram, and yeah, luckily no media outlets like picked it up or anything like that. So they managed to get it down in time, and the guy like was on literally on a podcast, like I think like after the movie had released, and he's like, yeah, no, I messed up.
Oh, that's so funny. Are you keeping up to date? I'm not really keeping up to date with it, but like the allegations with Jonathan Majors, the guy who's playing Kang.
I saw like the allegations, but I don't know like the full story. Like I just saw like he's in a bit of trouble with like a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, well, okay, this is kind of like this is going to be a bit of a pickle for Marvel, to get out of all this stuff. Yeah,
It's I don't know a whole lot about the situation. All I know is like he had an ex-girlfriend, and apparently like he was abusive to her, but his lawyers were like, no, that's not the truth. We've got text messages, we've got evidence to back it up that it was actually her that was doing it. But the issue was that
another Johnny Depp kind of situation.
Yeah, but the issue is like there was another. I think there were two other girls who came forward and said, yeah, he's not great. But not only that, there's a guy on Twitter who's like, I don't know who he is, but he's got a bit of an insight into things going on. And he tweeted about 3 or 4 months ago saying there's someone in the industry right now who is essentially like a really bad person. He's very big at the moment, but he's doing a lot of really nasty things. And someone tweeted at him kind of like retweeted that tweet that he did. And they just said Jonathan Majors, and they just said bingo. And I'm like, ooh.
Oh, because when you said that, I was thinking maybe Ezra Miller, because Ezra Miller is in a
You would think that, right? Yeah.
crap right now. So it's like, oh, like, like the whole, and even like, DC just released
The new Flash trailer?
the new Flash trailer, and everyone's like, why is Ezra Miller like still in this movie? Like,
Sorry, my neighbors are like always doing construction. So if you can hear a fucking chainsaw, they were building a new driveway last week.
That's always nice, yeah.
But that new Flash trailer did look really fucking cool.
I actually haven't seen it. I just saw all the controversy online. There's always like some controversy online with movies now.
Yeah.
Like it's like either Disney being too woke, or another actor getting into like some allegations or stuff like that, or a production studio doing something that people don't agree with, or there's always some kind of allegations. It's so hard to keep up with like all that stuff like in this day and age. I feel like
I just don't have the fucking time. I'm like, I don't. Yeah,
like the big stuff like there's a lot of big stuff like things like Ezra Miller and what's the other guy, the Marvel guy,
Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, Jonathan Majors. Like that's stuff that like because I'm interested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all that kind of stuff that I'll kind of look into, but there's always something new popping up all the time. It's so hard to keep up with or like what people call cancel culture and all that kind of stuff. Like I know it's like everything should be taken seriously and all that kind of stuff, and like you want to how to say like shit Japanese. Japanese floods to my head whenever
when you say Japanese flows to your head, like what do you mean by that? Like, do you want to say things in Japanese?
Yeah, so
do it. That'd be cool.
So sometimes when I like can't think of something in English, my mind will just automatically switch to Japanese, and I'll just like, it's weird because like,
what can you say? So you're very fluent in Japanese. So like so like if I was to talk to you right now, could you respond to me in Japanese?
I want to go back before I get clipped in.
Okay, we can do that. Okay.
Yeah, so like,
okay, say what you're gonna say.
So I just want to say like, of course, like it's important to like try to keep up and like because there's a lot of like like activism and a lot of shit going on in the world right now, like a lot of really bad shit, like with the whole like anti-trans movement and all that. That's absolute bullshit. But like at the same time, it's so hard to keep up with everything because of social media, because of Twitter and all that. Sometimes like it's just like things are happening and it's just like wait, but what about this? What are your thoughts on this? I'm like, I didn't even know that was happening. He's like, well, why didn't you know that was happening? Like, this is a big thing. Like, you should be on top of these things. It's like, yeah, like I'm trying to, but like at the same time, like I can't be on Twitter like 24/7 at a time. Like it's hard. Like I do want to care and I do want to like, support and like, and be up to date with
Sorry
these
if
things.
anyone. I'm just trying to fix my microphone because I realized that's really. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but it's like at the same time, like with everything going on all the time, it's like it's so hard to keep up with things. So yeah, I just wanted to say that kind of stuff. Like,
No, that's
before I get clipped and candled.
No, I've actually started like turning my phone off during the day. Like because it's not time boxing, but like if there's just points in the day where I just don't want to have my phone on me. And I'll just be like, okay, I'm just going to turn it off for like, let's say it's only 10 o'clock now. I'm going to turn it off until 12. It's only 2 hours, but like at least that way, like I don't need to look at my phone. I don't need to like think, oh, am I getting notifications? Which I probably am, but like I don't want to think about it. I can just focus on the work.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've really started to enjoy. And I just went up north for the weekend, and usually like I bring my laptop with me so I can do some work.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I'd have that much downtime. I ended up having a lot of fucking downtime, and I spent my whole time on my phone.
On your phone, yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah, like you scroll through TikTok and you look at the time, it's like it's been like 2 hours, and I've been scrolling through TikTok for like 2 hours. Like, what am I doing? That's why actually recently I set a like if you go into like you know how you can go into like apps like Instagram, Facebook, and all that, and you can actually set what is it called like screen time.
oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, so basically when I set it to be like, a maximum of 30 minutes per day. So when I've been, on Instagram for more than 30, not Instagram, TikTok, or even Instagram or anything like that for more than 30 hours a day, like for each application, it will come up. Like TikTok will notify me, hey, you've been scrolling. Or
Can you get that on Samsung?
Yeah, no, it's inbuilt into the app.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I think there was like some legislation in like the US or something where like they had to like put that into apps now.
Sorry, this fucking dude next door is really pissing me off.
It's okay. We got all the AI that can deal with all that kind of stuff.
Actually, there is an AI. Well, not an AI tool. It's Adobe Audio Enhancer, the app.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not the app. Just on the website.
Yeah.
I've started using that on so many things.
Actually, if you switch over to DaVinci Resolve, you don't even need that.
Oh,
DaVinci
really?
Resolve recently, what is it? They put in like basically audio enhancement, and
It's the same thing, pretty similar.
it's so good. Yeah, basically the exact same thing. It is so
love
good,
that.
but you don't need to upload it to like the website or anything like that. It's just already in there. You just kind of like it's even in like you don't even have. It's not even like an effect that you put on to your clip. You just like in DaVinci Resolve, you have like the inspect tab, which is kind of like your your clips kind of information effects or like that kind of stuff. And then you go down and there's just like enhance audio, and you just click on it. Done.
Sweet, cool.
And it's so good. So you don't hear anything like old mate with his chainsaw just like going at it.
I was gonna say like usually we record podcasts at night, but we're doing it in the morning. This is actually probably the earliest podcast I've ever done. So it's always gonna be stuff going on. But yeah, I'm keen to jump into DaVinci. I think that because I've been seeing like so many things like here's the tip of what you can do in DaVinci and all this, and there was a tool that I saw. And it was like, how to make your face go from this to this. And I'm like, I was watching the video, I'm like, what's the fucking difference? I literally couldn't see what the difference was. And then I watched it again, and it was like, he had like a couple like, I don't know, like pimples and stuff. And it was a tool, and it made his face really clear. I'm like, whoa, like that's interesting. And then I looked into it more, and you can do things like that. And I'm just like, this is incredible. Yeah. Because what did we learned Avid at uni, wasn't it? Was it Avid or DaVinci? I'm pretty sure it was Avid.
We learned, I think, first we learned Avid.
Okay.
And then we learned we learned both. I think we learned Avid as in like in terms of like editing, like cutting and all that kind of stuff. But then when we learned color grading, we used DaVinci Resolve, because back then like DaVinci Resolve's been like industry standard for color grading for like almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
And even back then, DaVinci Resolve's tracking has always been so good. It's got like
motion tracking,
like
or
just tracking, motion tracking.
Right.
So like back in the day, like you would like, or even now, like you could put like what would they call like I think it's got the magic tracker or something, like you just put like a clip or
Yeah.
a box around someone's face and like, you know, brighten up or like kind of like that. And then you just go track forward. And like, even if people were like turning their heads and stuff like that, it would track 100%. Like, perfect. And unless someone like fully like turned away from the camera and then turned back, then it would kind of mess up.
Yeah.
But like if someone's just like kind of like moving their head like this, like it would track perfectly. Like way better than like Premiere like could back in the, even probably better than Premiere could do like in these days. Like no offense to Adobe, but you know, step up your stuff with Premiere.
The only Adobe apps I use is Photoshop, Lightroom, and After Effects.
Yeah.
I don't use anything else.
Yeah.
I want to show you. I don't even know what to look up for it. AI video.
That's
3D.
the only thing good with Adobe right now is that all the AI things that are coming through. Like when they brought in like, you know, the AI transcripting. So you can like, you know, subtitle and transcribe all your videos like right within the app. That was really helpful. Now with you know, the new, you know, the what's you mentioned before, the audio enhancer thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And now like, you know, with Adobe Firefly now coming in. Yeah, that's gonna be massive. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the one where it automatically kind of like, because there was I don't know if it's the same thing you were talking about, but there was someone released this clip and it was like someone would be talking. It's like us talking about a subject at the moment, and the AI would detect what we're talking about, cut it, and make points in the video, and it would be like do it all in one go. So it would say, this is what you put here, this is what you put here. And it was like cutting the video like
So
on the fly.
That's a plugin called I think it's called Autopod.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a plugin for DaVinci. Not DaVinci. So it's a plugin for Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
I think it costs about $50. And then so you buy it and you then add it to Premiere Pro, and then it does that. It's not made by Adobe or anything like that. It's made by someone else, but it still uses AI and all that kind of stuff.
So what's Firefly? Explain Firefly.
So Firefly, I'm not too up to date with Firefly, but from what I know, it's kind of like a video generator or something like that, or it can listen to what you're saying. So just say you're talking about something like this, and you want some B-roll, and you're talking about stuff. It can pick up what you're saying, and then it will either generate a video of that and then put it in, or it will search its stock library, like because Adobe stock has a lot of that, and then it will just chuck something in. So if you're talking about like, you know, when I was like washing my car and all that, it will like get a clip of like someone washing their car and just put it in there, as B-roll. So you don't have to go out and, you know,
look for an image and put it in, do them zoom.
Do like
Do
that,
shit,
or like, you know, or if you want to like, you know, or go out and film it yourself and all that kind of stuff. Like it will have like, it'll just put it in there. So I think that's one of the things of Firefly, but I think Firefly as a whole is going to be so much more than that. Yeah.
I'm already using a couple different AI tools at the moment. The main one I use is IMG Image Upscaler.
Oh yeah.
And that's been incredible. And it's great for real estate and stuff that have like, they haven't done a decent rebrand in like 10 years. So they have like the really small,
like
file.
when you click on it, it's just all pixelated.
And it's not transparent or anything. And you're like, fucking kill me. But like I'm using that one a lot. There's a few things that I've played around with, like Midjourney. I was paying for Midjourney and I had to stop because I would literally like spend like hours just like mucking around and like doing different things.
So good, especially like version 5 that just came out.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's good, bro.
Yeah?
It's so good. I remember you introduced me to Midjourney.
Oh, did I? Okay.
And I added it onto, onto Discord and all that kind of stuff. But they've stopped doing the free trial.
Oh, okay.
I think they stopped doing the free trial after. Did you see on Twitter there was like the shots of Donald Trump getting arrested?
No.
Yeah. So and like, you know, and there was one of like the Pope. The Pope.
Oh, in like Balenciaga or something. Yeah.
So after that happened, I think there was those two incidents. There was the Pope in Balenciaga, and there was like Donald Trump. And this was while like, you know, Donald Trump was like, you know how Donald Trump was about to be like arrested or like, you know, detained
a few weeks ago.
A few weeks ago. So this was like at the peak of that, and someone put in a prompt of like, you know, Donald Trump being like tackled to the ground by NYPD or something like that. And it like full on looks fully realistic. They did, of course, like they probably did a whole bunch of prompts, like, you know, changing it and like tweaking it till they got like 3 or 4 photos that were like perfect, like really good. And they
Wow.
posted on Twitter, and I was like, wait, is this real? Is this real? Is this AI? Like, what's going on? And then after that video, and he's like, yeah, look, we're not going to be providing the free trial anymore. If you want to use Midjourney, you have to subscribe to it.
Wow.
So yeah, so that kind of killed that. And then once that happened, I was like, you know, and then at the same time, version 5 also came out, and I was like, people were like raving about it. I was like, you know, I'll pay for it for like a month.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's
Yeah.
it's incredible what version 5 can do. It's
Actually, yeah. So you can't see it. That image was actually made with Midjourney.
yeah,
And I don't think my
it's insane.
and yeah, and that one was as well. So I put a prompt like UFO. I love UFOs. UFO invading small farm or something.
Yeah.
So like yeah, like that's I've been loving it. I actually just watched a documentary the other day, and I feel like I'm jumping on the trend because a lot of people are talking about this at the moment. Have you heard about the new Logan Paul UFO case?
No, what is this?
I'm going to talk about this because it's relevant, and I watched it and I'm like, no fucking way. So there was a guy named James Fox, and he recently finished a documentary called First Contact or something Contact. If you look up James Fox 2023, 2022 documentary, it'll pop up. And he was going around promoting it and doing all this stuff. And he went on Joe Rogan recently.
Yeah.
And he was speaking about a tape that was shown to him by a guy named Chuck Clark. And Chuck called James up and said, I've got something to show you. I can't tell you what it is, but when you see it, your jaw's going to drop on the floor. And the way he described the video was it were these two guys mocking around the black mailbox near Vegas where Area 51 is.
Oh yeah.
This is like a VHS tape, like it's old. It's like they're just mucking around, having fun. And then he said the clip cuts to kind of like the camera sitting on the center console facing the basically the front of the car.
Oh yeah.
And he said you can't see what's going on, but it sounds like the guys are trying to crawl underneath the seats, and they're freaking out and they're saying it's above us. And then he said there is a light that is shining directly into the car, and he said it must have been a massive light because it was kind of like swaying very smoothly. And he said, and then he said one of the guys gets out of the car and he says, I'm going to have a look. And he gets out and he looks up and he said it was a floating disc. And he said it was glowing. It looked like almost like skin. And then he said something about the batteries and the camera shuts off. So he said this on Joe Rogan. Of course, Joe said my bullshit detector's going off the charts.
Yeah,
like
now, I'm
yeah.
going off the yeah.
And James was like, I get that. I get it. It's like he said, like, but like if these guys, like if they faked it, they should be working with Spielberg. That's just what he said.
Yeah.
He went on Logan Paul's podcast about 2 years ago and told him about it. And by the way, sorry, just to add context, he asked Chuck if he could have the tape. He offered him $30,000 and he said, no, I'm not going to give it to you. He told Logan about it. And I listened to, so I watched Joe's podcast first and then I watched Logan's podcast yesterday. Logan said on the podcast, he's like, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I'm going to get that tape. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. And so they got a private detector.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a private detector?
Yeah.
They found out where Chuck lived, and Logan went there with $100,000 and offered to buy the tape for him off him. He said no. And he said, no, I'm not going to give it to you. He said, oh, well, let me just see it at least. So he watches it again, watches it 3 times. What the guy who has the tape didn't know was that Logan had a button camera on. No. So Logan has got this tape. He's apparently told he's told James that he's too scared to release it because he doesn't know the footage. He doesn't own the footage. It's a bit of a gray area, so he doesn't know what's going on. I have a theory, and I'm calling it right now. I've got the camera hooked up to the TV so I can see myself. I'm calling it right now because Logan is really trying to get on Joe Rogan. He is really trying to get on Joe Rogan. I guarantee you, Joe is going to get in contact with Logan. He's going to say, you can come on my podcast.
As long as you show the video.
As long as you show that fucking video. I guarantee that's what's going to happen.
It's amazing that like Joe Rogan hasn't already invited Logan Paul onto his podcast. Like he's had so many people on, and Logan Paul is probably one of the biggest like content creators in the world.
He's had Mr. Beast on and stuff, so I'm sure it will happen at some point.
Is it because like, you know, he already, like Logan also has a podcast and all that kind of stuff? I doubt it because I feel like, you know, the people that he's interviewed also have their own podcasts and stuff like that. Maybe they're not as big as Logan Paul, but like, yeah, I don't know. Or it's just like maybe just Joe Rogan just doesn't agree with like what Logan Paul has to say.
Well, he books out his podcast like months in advance, so that could be one thing. Plus, Logan's really busy.
Yeah.
But because Logan, like Prime Hydration, is the main sponsor of the USC now, which Joe works for.
Oh wow.
There might be a bit of a
conflict of interest kind of thing.
No. I feel like that might be a bit of a greater reason for him to come on. It's like, hey, you're doing stuff for the USC. I work for the USC. Let's do something. Yeah. Also, bring that videotape. So
also on a side note, that videotape.
Yeah,
gonna need that.
Yeah, and as soon as fuck man, it was a great. I'll send it to you. Like if you get the time to listen to the Joe podcast, the Logan one's not too bad, but the one that James went on and spoke on, like that was just incredible. Like it was great.
Yeah, like when you say when you said to like the bullshit meter's going off. But
I was saying I'm like I gotta mention that it's
Yeah, but like when like another thing that kind of makes me skeptical as well is like when people like offer like I'll pay you $30,000 for it and stuff like that, and he says no, it's either one, he doesn't want to sell it because he might be worried because it might spark fear and stuff like that, but at the same time he's like he could also be saying no because he knows it looks like he doesn't want people to like have it and analyze it and stuff like that. And then he's like, oh, well, if someone analyzes this and like, oh, no, this is clearly just CG and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People are just going to call him out and be like, yeah, what the hell, bro? And it's like, so, yeah, it's like, I feel like, yeah, it can run two ways. It's like, I don't want to sell it because, it could be, bad. Like something bad could come from it. Or two, I'm going to get called out as a bullshit artist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just like, what? Like, yeah.
I feel like Logan should respond. I feel like whether he's going to say, yes, I'm going to release it, no. I think he at least needs to tell us what he's seen and what he thinks about it.
Yeah. But then again, like Logan Paul is always, I feel like Logan Paul is always on his own terms. Like, unless he's forced to do it, like, because like there's the whole, like, the Logan crypto scam and all that kind of stuff that happened, and like he literally didn't say anything until he was forced to say. Yeah. And even then he kind of like doubled down and stuff like that, and then eventually, because he was like basically like strong-armed into it, that's when he like came out and was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, like this is happening and stuff like that. Like he like
it was a good it was a good 3-part series that CoffeeZilla did. I actually really enjoyed it.
I love CoffeeZilla. Like the stuff that he does is the production quality is so high. It's just so good.
I like how he has those random cutscenes where it's like him at the bar and he's talking to a robot. I'm like, who the fuck does this? It's so random.
The first time I saw that, I was like, what's going on? I'm like, is this a robot? Like when I first saw it, I was like, is this some robot? Is this robot like a guy like in like a green suit that's been like, motion tracked?
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Don't know.
Or is this like someone that's like hand animated this robot? Like it's kind of weird. But yeah.
This is what I was trying to show you before. There is a new tool out where
I think
where like you film anyone and you scan it and they will put a robot, another person there,
motion tracked,
and they will remove the background in certain areas to make it look clean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? And I legitimately didn't think it was real because it's like it sounds too good to be true.
The amount
but
of
it
like
is real.
stuff that's happening in AI. Like I watch a guy called Philip DeFranco, and he always says like on a constant basis, anytime he talks about AI, today is the worst AI will ever be again. Like tomorrow, it's going to be better. The day after that, it's going to be 5 times better. Like we think of AI today, and there's like hundreds of new tools coming out like every single week. We think of like how much AI has grown like in 6 months. Remember when ChatGPT got released and everyone was like crazy about that. But when you think about ChatGPT now, it's kind of like old news.
Yeah, it's kind of the norm.
You have like things like Runway, like the video editing AI. You have things like like people that can clone your voice and all that kind of stuff. You have so much really advanced, and when you get like multiple of these AI programs or whatever and put them together, that's when like shit becomes scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Basically going to be what is it called? It's someone's law, where basically like you look at like the line curve of like how good stuff gets, and it slowly goes like that, but then instantly just spikes up. Yeah.
Have you been listening to any of these AI covers on TikTok?
A little bit. I don't know. Like after a while, you kind of get like AI or what is it, category fatigue. When
Yeah.
you look at like like a certain category of video, like AI videos, or like even like film and photography, like stuff like that. Like I know we work in that industry, but when I like you know watch too much too much Peter McKinnon, too much
Yeah,
Dana
I
Did
get
It
a
or
bit
stuff like
over it.
that, or like too much TikTok, like film and photography TikTok. I'm like I'm kind of over this. Like I work in this industry, and it's always good to stay up to date. But with anything, when you like listen or like consume too much of it, you get fatigue from it.
So flying a drone, like I don't, I don't really find flying drones that fun anymore. Like when you get a drone, it's like exciting, it's fun, and then like use it for work. It's
You
kind of like,
can't fly drones in Japan.
really?
Well, you can, but it's so difficult. So basically, the thing about like flying a drone in Japan, right, is that a lot of the laws are the same as like Australia, Western countries. Like you can't fly above like a certain height. You have to stay away from people, like say a certain distance away from people. You have to keep eye what is it, eyesight of your drone.
Yeah,
Although now drones can fly like 13 kilometers away,
Yeah.
and it's like
more than that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I can't really see 13. I wear glasses for God's sake, and like all the like the laws are pretty much the same, except for the one that's like you cannot fly in densely populated areas. So that basically just eliminates. So I think it's if there's more than, I think there's more than 1,000. No, I think it's more than 10,000 people in a 1 kilometer square area. You cannot fly a drone.
Right.
You cannot fly drones over the parks of Tokyo. I think there's something like 50 parks or something like that. Or no, sorry, you cannot fly drones over the parks of the 23 wards of Tokyo.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, any of the parks there. Of course, like you have like the airports rule and all that kind of stuff. But the biggest one is that densely packed area. So basically all of Tokyo, basically all of Kanto. So the Kanto region is basically like you have Tokyo, Saitama, Chiba. I think Yamanashi as well is in the Kanto region.
Okay.
But basically all of that, because it's so, like I said, Tokyo is such a densely packed city. Basically all of it you can't fly a drone in unless you get explicit permission by the aviation.
Oh god.
Yeah. So you have
And
to.
I'm guessing that's a pain in the ass to go through over there.
Yeah, because you have to you have to register your drone. You also in most cases you have to have a license, but Japan doesn't have any drone licensing legislation or ability to get a drone license.
Yeah.
So people that have drone license are people that have got a drone license in Australia or other countries, and then they just bring it over to Japan and well, do you have a license? Yeah, I have a license, but you can't get a license in Japan. There's just no course or anything that you can do in Japan. So it's kind of weird that they require a license for you to fly a drone, even though you can't get one in Japan.
Yeah.
And then also, so once you get all that, you also have to, so to get that, you have to say, I'm going to fly on this day at this time in this area.
Right.
Fill out all the forms and all that kind of stuff. Send your drone serial number, all the certificates for your register your drone, your license and all that. Send that away. Then they approve it. Then you also have to contact the police station of that certain area.
Fucking
I'm
hell,
going to do
Jesus
all
Christ.
this stuff on this day, and then you can go and you can fly your drone. And then
I'd rather just get the fine for doing it. It's probably easier than going through all that shit.
it's like a $10,000 fine.
Okay, maybe it's not worth it then.
And then
Wow.
even when you do all that kind of stuff, you fly a drone and then police see it or someone sees it and they call the police, and police will come and be like, you can't fly a drone here. And you're like, no, I have all these documentations. But of course, police don't know about the aviation laws and that kind of stuff. And so what is this? And you're like, it's it's a piece of paper, it's a certificate from the Japanese aviation agency that says I'm allowed to fly here on this day.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. And we've never seen one of those before. Hold up, we need to take a photo of this, and we're gonna contact our person. And it's like, bro, come on. And I was on a shoot one time, and basically the same thing happened. And then the thing about Japan, right? Japan has a lot of police,
Yeah.
but not a lot of crime.
Really?
Yeah, Japan is is known as is basically one of the safest places in the world. And so because they have a lot of police and not a lot of crime, when something does happen,
They're like,
like
I've got to get on this.
everyone comes. Like everyone comes. So I had basically the exact same thing happened. We're filming something. My mate did all the stuff he's supposed to, got all the certificates, did all that kind of crap. We get on there on the day, we take off the drone, literally like maybe 15 minutes later, police come. You have to take the drone down. And
That's
like,
annoying.
Okay, take the drone down. They're like, oh, can you open up the drone case? We want to take a photo of the drone. Oh, we want to take a photo of your license, of your, like, what we call a Menko, which is a driver's license. Take a photo of that. Take a photo of your certificate. We're going to message our people. And then another police officer comes. Oh, can we take a photo of your drone? He's like, I just packed it away.
God.
I was like, no, we need to. I was like, also this guy took a photo of it. Oh, no, we need to take a photo of it. What, aren't you the police? Oh, no, we're police, but we're from like, it's just another.
The other
group,
station.
Yeah. So a group of 3 police came and they all did their thing. And then another group of 3 police came and then they did their thing. And then another group of 3 police came and they did their thing. And so my mate had to like unpack his drone like 4 times, take out his license like amount of times. And then like he had to do it all 4 times. In the end, 12 police officers rocked up. 12 police officers for a single drone thing.
And like, was he doing anything wrong? Like,
No.
was everything all good?
It was also on private property, so he could fly with, and he had permission from the property owner and all that kind of stuff. Even the property owner was like, "Why is all these police here?" Like, oh, he was fine. He's like, "Yeah, I've given them permission to fly over my property." Like, oh, right. And then like these people in business suits came in and like, and then like, of course, because I'm part of the crew, I have to give my license and all that. And they're like, "Oh, can we see your license?" And I'm like, no, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to give you. At first, I thought they were the people that called the police for the drone. I'm like, I'm not giving you my license. Like, you have to give me your license. I'm like, no, why do I have to give you my license? Like, because we're police. Plain officer police came, like undercover police came to the site and was like asking. I was like, what? Why? Like, it's just like it was like a crew of like 4 people.
Jesus Christ.
And like at the same time, like we had to film like a full on, like we're shooting a music video. So of course we had like the drone shots, but we also had like, I was the first AC. So I'm busy setting up the camera and like 4 people came out. Can we see your license? Can we see your license? Can you see something? Like, I just put it on the ground and like, can we see your, I just pointed to it. It's there. I'm like, I'm too busy right now setting up all these cameras because like, even though like the drone thing's kind of like, screwed, like I still got to get ready for the, like, the next shot and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, it was a clusterfuck and like, in the end, like, 12 cops rocked up, like 3 undercover cops. It was just like, I'm like, this is insane. And it was I think, and the reason that it was so bad as well is because like, I think 3 of her were, what would they call gaijin, like foreigners.
Yeah.
Like, even though I have a Japanese citizen, because I will ask him, where's your foreigner card? I'm like, I don't have one. Like, why not? I'm like, I'm a Japanese citizen. And like, are you? I'm like, yeah. And like, can I see your passport? I'm like, if you go ask that guy, does he have his passport? Would he have his passport? Like, do you have your passport? It's like, no, why not? Why don't you have your passport? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, why would I carry my passport around?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Japanese citizen.
That's bizarre.
Like, if you go ask any other Japanese citizen to show you their passport, they're like, what? Like, most of them would be like, I don't even have a passport. Like, And like, I'm like, here's my license. It says on because my name in Australia and my name in Japan, different.
Right.
Yeah. So my name in Australia is Sean Onchi Maguire.
Yeah.
But
Onchi, yeah.
Onchi, yes. But in Japan, it's just Sean Onchi. And
Okay, why not Maguire?
Because so when I got registered when my mum registered me in Japan, so I could get my my Japanese citizenship and my passport and all that, I had to go under her family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And at that point, my mum, for some reason, I don't know why, but my mum didn't change her Japanese name to. Probably shouldn't dox my mum.
Oh yeah. I'll cut that out. I'll bleep it out.
But she didn't want to change it over from Onchi to Maguire for whatever reason. But since my dad wasn't a Japanese citizen, I couldn't go under his name, so I went under my mum's name, and that's why it's Sean Onchi. Yeah, and it's written in kanji and everything. So they looked at it like, oh, okay, like I had a Japanese driver's license and all that kind of stuff. So they just, I was like, yeah, it's. Leave me alone. I'm trying to set this.
Leave me the fuck alone. I'm just trying to work.
I'm just trying to set up this camera. God damn it. And then like I had to like have that conversation like 3 times. And I'm like, guys, seriously, like you're all
Fuck off.
standing like within like you're standing like 5 meters away from each other. Just ask each other,
Yeah.
please. It's not like one. I was like, why? One, why is there so many cops here? And two, why do you not talk?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, because like we're a part of our group. We're our squad, and they're their squad. I'm like,
Oh, what a fucking nightmare.
goddamn, yeah.
But you got to work on some pretty cool projects, though. Did you say you worked on a Boss coffee commercial?
Yeah, so
Because I've seen a few, and I pointed them out. I'm like, oh yeah, my friend worked on this, and I'm just like, I have no idea if he worked on this. But it's like, because there was one on a train.
yeah, so I worked on that one.
Okay, cool. That's the
I
one I
worked
see the
on
most.
The one that was, I don't know, they like, it was like a lady and like an old lady at a restaurant, and she had all like the things stacked up, like all like.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I worked on that one, and then there was another one of like an old man in Shibuya, like the scramble.
I think I saw that one.
The like directing traffic and all that.
Yeah.
I worked on that. Basically, I was the first AC and also the costume designer for that.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah, that's cool. I love Boss Coffee. Coffee's good.
So that was the initial launch. That was the initial Australian launch of Boss Coffee in Australia.
Okay, right.
Yeah. And actually, that job is how I met my mate, the drone flyer. That was.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That exact same job. So yeah, it was like that was a really good thing about Japan. Like, originally when I went over there, like I said, I really had no plan. I was originally just going to go over there and be like an English teacher, like most foreigners that go over to Japan. But luckily enough, I had some contacts, and I ended up being able to work for Cutting Edge.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
yeah,
a Australian post-production company. But also Cutting Edge also shared an office with a production company, who the owner of that production company was also the creative director of Cutting Edge Japan.
Right.
So it was really that they kind of had a really good working relationship, one because of that, and also they got a lot of jobs because they could pitch that to clients, being like, "Hey, we can do the production for you, but also we're very closely tied."
I remember you telling me this actually, yeah. And
Yeah.
there was kind of like a shared
Yeah, it was
shared
like
agreement.
Yeah, it was
So
like
that
a
was
shared
good.
agreement. Yeah, and that helped them get like a lot of clients, because a lot of clients, like usually when an agency is looking for like to make a commercial and that, they'll have to go out and they'll find a production company that will film everything, and then after that they'll also go and find a post-production company that will do all the CG or the editing and all that kind of stuff. So having a close relation like that,
Yeah.
the production company will be like, hey, we can do like the production and the post-production with our partners all in one package.
Wow.
And they were like, that's really cool, because it saves us a ton of time having to search for each individual part. And
Yeah.
so that was really good. So yeah, with them, I was able to work with them for like about a year and a half. I
Yeah.
worked for them for, I think it was around almost like 6 months as a full-time freelancer. And then after that, I went just back to normal freelancing. But yeah, I get to work with some really cool projects. You'd be surprised how many projects that you'll like do a crap ton of work on, but just never see the light of day.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's things as in because production companies, you have to pitch your idea to the agency. So basically when a brand wants to make a new commercial or whatever or something, they don't do anything. They just say they basically just say like the 2020 Olympics, just say, what was it? Like Coca-Cola or something wants to do a 2020 campaign. They just say, hey, guys, we want to do a 2020 campaign. And then all these marketing agencies will come in, like pitch their ideas of like what they want to do. And they'll be like, yep, we like your idea. Here's here's like $1 million to make that. Because when you look at a campaign, it's not just the commercial. It's like the commercial, it's like the special like packaging for like the Coca-Cola bottles. It's like a pop-up somewhere. It's so many different things that are happening for that 2020 campaign. So from there, the agency will work on all of that kind of stuff. And then one of those things is the commercial. And then okay, we're doing a commercial for Coca-Cola for the 2020 campaign. This is the theme. This is what we're working on. Can you, and we want to make a commercial. And they put that out, and then a bunch of production companies will then pitch their idea for that thing. Like, oh, we really like this thing. This is our take on it. This is what we want to do. And then the agency's like, we like that idea. Here's 100K to do it. Yeah. And then so a lot of times, like you're doing like, you run up pictures, you're going out, you're getting like location photos, you're doing all this kind of stuff. And like, you might be in like the top 3 or like in the final 3 choices. And like, okay, cool. Yeah, we actually like your idea, but we want to see like, cast, who would you cast? And we want to do like a few other things. And like, where would you shoot? Like show us some locations and all that. So you go out, you do all this kind of stuff. And in the end, they just go with someone else.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Or in the
that's
end,
going to be a pain in the ass.
or sometimes you will go out and they go, yep, we choose you. We shoot and do everything like that. And we shoot everything. And because we're a production company, we shoot. Maybe they've gone with our partners, cutting edge. Or maybe they've picked their own production studio or something like that. Or maybe they'll edit it. The agency has an editor in-house that will do it. And then so you shoot everything. You send the footage off. And then you're like, so where's this commercial that we shot like 6 months ago? And like, don't know, probably just something happened. Maybe just never came to light.
God.
Yeah.
There was who was it? Wow, I just realized how that's really overexposed now. That's fine. I don't care. Who was it? It was Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, the director. He's made like Clerks and Dogma and stuff like that. He did some stuff for Prince one time, and they made like a documentary for Prince, and then they wrapped in one of his. Then they were like celebrating, like, yep, cool, great shoot, or like great production, whatever.
Our parties are great. Just gonna say that.
Yeah, yeah, a bit wild.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've never been to one. But yeah, and then and I think it was one of Prince's assistants said, yeah, it's great, but it's probably not going to see the light of day. And Kevin was like, what? Why? He said, he does this. Prince makes these things and he puts them in a vault, and that's it. So whether or not those things come to light, who knows? But it must be pretty common for things like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, because sometimes you see the budgets on these things, and you're like, how can people spend this much money on something and then just not use it? Like, it's insane. Like, you saw, like I said, like I've worked with people like Nike, Adidas, Asics.
Oh,
Boss,
sure.
Shiseido, which is like a Japanese makeup company. SK2, sorry, is another Japanese skincare company. I've also worked with like Coca-Cola and like Air New Zealand and stuff. All these companies. But I think the only things that have actually come to light were the Nike one, Guinness, Boss Coffee, Air New Zealand, and I think one or two more.
Wow.
But like the Adidas one, I was the DP for that. Yeah.
Really?
I got kind of like roped into it because they hired a photographer because it was like a massive campaign, and they had like a full on commercial that they were making, and then they also wanted to have like a documentary or like interviews on the side, a documentary kind of thing on the side. And so we were the crew for the documentaries. And so they also brought in a photographer to, get photos of all like, the athletes for this 2020 campaign. And they're like, oh, well, you can also be the DOP. And he was like, I'm a photographer. I don't know anything about like, how to light for film or anything like that. So I was like, so he just turned to me and goes, hey dude, can you take over? And I was like, wait, what? I'm supposed to be like the first AC. I'm supposed to just be like, focus pulling, but it's interviews and stuff. So you just set focus.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And then like also then, working with cameras, like, changing out lenses and all that kind of basically all just like basic first AC stuff. And I'm like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah. And I'm like, this is like my third job in this company. I'm like, I've like worked on like 2 other productions before. And I'm like, sure. So I just got roped into like DOPing for this thing for Adidas.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and we like I said, we filmed everything, we wrapped everything. We were like working really tightly with agency and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and it was like in the end, I don't even know if it got released. I never saw, like I said, I never saw the like the big ad, because I remember like at all the locations we went to, they also filmed like this big commercial to like go alongside it.
Yeah.
For this one to go alongside. And I don't even think I saw the big commercial or anything like that. Yeah, it was kind of weird. I think because it was Olympics 2020 and because of COVID hit and all that, they kind of delayed it, and then it was like 2021, and then they're like, oh well, we can't do this because I don't know. It might actually be out there. I just
you just haven't seen it.
I just haven't seen it. So yeah.
Was there? I remember you. Sorry, I've got to turn it down. It is looking a bit.
Oh yeah. I literally just set my exposure on auto. especially when I'm just like sitting
Why?
down doing stuff like this.
Why is that?
I will set my I'll set my shutter speed and my aperture, but I'll set my ISO to auto.
Maybe you should do that.
Whenever like, especially because like when you're not like in a
In an environment like this, yeah.
like an environment that you have complete control over, like a set or anything like that. It's like the sun goes behind a cloud and then it comes out behind a cloud.
Yeah.
And you're always constantly like changing stuff like that. So it's like of course, like on set, like when you have like complete control of like whatever's going on lighting wise, yeah, you want to set like ISO as low as possible. But like other stuff like that, like when you're just shooting for like YouTube and stuff like that, just like
It's not that much.
auto ISO that stuff, and if your lighting's like relatively good, it will like you will never get enough like for it to go like super grainy.
I liked it when we had the setup over there with the table, because those two lights there, when they're backlit, it looks really beautiful and it looks really nice, because like
Nice accent lighting.
and I don't even shoot it with this. I shoot it with the 55 1.8, so it's like a nice depth of field. It looks really nice, but like this is my first time doing this kind of setup, and I actually kind of prefer it. It feels a lot more comfortable. It feels more casual doing it, as opposed to like it would be like this at a table, like this. It's fucking. It's a bit intimidating. So this is, and I said this to Gilly, my mate who I do the podcast with. I'm just like, we need to do this because it's more relaxed, it's more chill. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah. One last thing I wanted to ask you was, I remember it's been a while now since you told me this story, and if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to talk about it. There was a production that you worked on in Japan, and you just said it was a fucking nightmare. I can't remember what it was.
Which one?
I can't remember, but apparently, like people, like there was like what do you actually call like the producer, like the head producer?
Yeah,
was like mucking you around and doing a bunch of stuff, and it was like wasn't treating you the best. And I'm hoping I wasn't having a fever dream and this actually happened. I remember you telling me something, and it was like it sounded like a really rough experience.
Yeah, there's sometimes that like sometimes you just get on a set like that. I can't remember what exactly which one you were talking about. But like sometimes you'll just get on that, and like film is great. Like if you have a really good crew, it's amazing. And the nice thing about commercial work and all that kind of stuff is that they're usually only a few days. So that it's like sometimes you usually shoot for like maybe 3 days. Sometimes you'll shoot a little bit longer. Maybe you shoot like you go away for like a week or 2 weeks. But they're usually like they're nothing like feature films when you're on those things for like 8 to 10 months.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. And like if you have a good crew, it flies past and it's really fun. You guys like get along really well. But then sometimes you just have like a crew that like is good, but you might just have like you might have a producer or like some head of department that just kind of like is not really good to work with, and like it just with industry like film industry where like you're always constantly working with different people, you just got to kind of like buckle down and just get through it. Yeah, sometimes you get run through the shitter, and sometimes you just got to go, well, this is my life for the next 3 days or the next 1 week. You just got to
suck it up.
Suck it up, and you're paid there to do a job, and like you never want to be get like work like workplace harassment and all that kind of stuff. And if it gets to a certain point, you should report it. And like most crews always have like a HR kind of stuff like that. It's not really HR, but like the equivalent that you can always report things to. But like sometimes it's just like someone just being an ass and just like, well, okay, just gotta suck it up. But there's been a few things like that, and some of them's like sometimes it's agency, sometimes it's producers, sometimes it's like it's the head of your department. Just screaming at you all the time. Sometimes it's agency. Like one of my favorite things is like one time, like sometimes you'll just be like, you'll film like a whole thing, like a whole scene, and then agency will come up and they'll just like take a photo, just say because I worked with a lot of like shoe stuff like that, and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes like you'll shoot a whole thing. You've lit it, you've shot it. It's taken like you've done like multiple takes. It's taken like over an hour to get this one shot, and then agency will come up and just take a photo of like whatever, and they'll like type and say something, and then next thing, bing. Oh yeah, no, this shoe wasn't supposed to be in this scene. Like,
Oh.
Like what in the storyboard, you've pre-planned everything. Like you've pre-combed, storyboarded, done all the pre-production and all that. Like, but in the storyboard, like this is the shoe and this because no, this shoe's supposed to be here. Like, no, but this shoe's supposed to be in the next scene or this scene over here because it's supposed to this is how it ties into the story. And like, oh, well, Brand wants it to be like this, and you're like, cool.
Oh, that's fucking annoying.
So, yeah, sometimes it's just like that. But like I said, sometimes you just got to suck it up and just go, well, okay, that's it. That's how it is. We would have really appreciated if you told that us an hour ago, before we, started, before we did all this. But hey, sometimes it's like that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's why I like doing freelancing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, we might leave it there. We've been going for just over an hour now. Thank you for coming on. Welcome back to Australia, mate. It's fucking good to have you back. Yeah. Instagram handle. Do you want to shout out anything at all?
Shawnee Maguire is pretty much everything, I think, except for my Twitter, which is Sean Maguire Film. But yeah, it's either Shawnee Maguire or Sean Maguire Film. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
So you can find me.
And
I haven't been posting on social media for a long time.
Yeah, me neither, to be honest. But Sean's going to be doing some work for OneCast Media over in Adelaide. If you're looking for any media production done, get in touch with those guys and they'll be able to help you out.
Yes.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you for watching, guys, and we will see you on the next one. Cool.
All right. Catch y'all, guys.